Hey everyone, I'm Zain Baig, this is Auto Group, and this is the 2019 Honda Passport Elite all-wheel drive. So a couple months back, we did a review on the Honda Pilot Elite all-wheel drive, which is the all-wheel drive V6, 280 horsepower, 10-speed automatic transmission, third row SUV. And this is the two-row sportier version, is what Honda says, of the Pilot. So the Passport is supposed to be the more rugged, the more, active, the more maybe for youngsters if you're not really wanting a car with a third row, because literally this car is almost the exact same length when they're parked right next to each other. They're the same over here almost, and they're in the rear, they're almost the same, just like a little bit of difference. And honestly, if you want this car just for luggage, or you wanted this car just for luggage, but you don't care about the third row, then this is honestly worth it instead, because it is slightly cheaper, obviously. Still, this one is $44,000, but it is cheaper than the Pilot because it is a smaller car. Which we will see, it is not that small. So, this one has black leather inside. It has a really nice looking silver color on the outside. And due to what Honda says about the sportiness of the car, these are very nice painted black wheels, and this black hole effect for the view mirrors looks really, really nice compared to the less sporty accents on the Pilot. Inside it does have black leather seats, and I think it looks really good with this. I think it has wood in it too. We'll see, because this is the sporty one. Maybe it has some piano black or something. Anyways, let's go ahead and come to the back. So this one has the new hands-free access power tailgate in the back. So it says that the sensor will not recognize a slow kick, a side-to-side swinging waving motion, holding your foot under the bumper, multiple kicks. And it's not going to detect that. It says do a quick in and out within 1 second. And it's supposed to be in the middle of the car. That's where the sensor is. I think it works really well, because some cars you just keep on messing around. Maybe it's because they have the instructions. That's why it's so easy now. But or else, here you go. You got a lot of space in the back. We put the little second row down to show you, and that's via this little button over here and that button over here. And another crazy thing about this car is that there's so much storage back here. Look at this. There's a power outlet. There's another bin down here. And then if you push on this thing, you get another little bin over here. And then obviously when you lift this, you have your tire and stuff, and you get a little cup for your fluid needs. And then you just pull that back and you close it, and that's very good. I really like that. Okay, so it is a pretty thick piece of tailgate, so you might bump your head a little bit on here, especially if you're coming out with stuff. You're like, oh, but you know what? It's okay. Not a big deal. It's just a nitpick, and that's what we'd like to do. Nitpicking is important for us, because criticism is key in car reviewing. Not really, but you get it. So here we go. We have another little piano black piece of sportiness in the back, and a really aggressive diffuser. Look at those tips. Obviously it's been extended to be like that, but it looks like really, really good, and it's way sportier than the Pilot's rear end. This is also a touring all-wheel drive. So let's go ahead and look at the second row. Okay, so I'm pretty sure the front seat is about at maybe my position. I mean, I haven't really customized it to my position, but I have a lot of legroom in the back for this size of the SUV, like a mid-size type SUV, maybe a smaller mid-size SUV. I think it's really good. And does this thing, oh, let's go. We got a little thingy over here, an armrest, and then you got some vents down here, some climate control features, and an actual plug in case you got to plug in your phone, and to a USB outlet. So that's really cool. Obviously you don't get some crazy things that you get in the Pilot Elite all-wheel drive, like the crazy moonroof design with the front moonroof, rear panoramic glass, and then in the middle you also have a TV. So that's more of like a family hauler. But if you're just looking for a more sporty version of the Pilot with a little less, I think this is pretty good. And it has a much more rugged look, obviously. So now we're gonna maybe check out a couple other features and then go ahead and go on the drive. But this is a different transmission than the Pilot. The Pilot is a 10-speed transmission. This is a 9-speed automatic transmission. So let's go ahead and check out the front. Oh, and look, you got a sportier perforated leather steering wheel and some more piano black accents all around the car. So now we are in the front seat of the Passport, and it is pretty similar to the Pilot in terms of kind of like this overall space, but it has a beautiful gauge cluster. It's all electronic, which is super, super cool. I really like the look of that. Also, the person, whoever was in this car, had a pretty good seating position in terms of my height. So what I showed you back there is mainly for a person of 6'2", 6'3" height. And look at the rev counter when you like hit the gas a little bit. That's pretty cool. I really like that for this car. It's super cool, and it gets the point across of what Honda's trying to do, make this more sportier car. And then, of course, we got our little moonroof over here, and we got this crazy looking shift system of the Honda Passport, which is where park, and then reverse is this little button over here, neutral, drive, and then click another time for sport. This is some oh, that's your like snow or mud. Wow, that has really beautiful graphics. And up to sand. That's super cool. That's probably in terms of your suspension and overall power distribution of the all-wheel drive system. And then it also has automatic start stop when you're at a stoplight. And if you go to home, we got our navigation. We got our other thingies, like, let's go back. We got phone, FM. This car does have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. And can we just talk about how smooth this infotainment system is? Like, when you switch between apps, it is very, very seamless feeling. So anyways, overall the dashboard's material are pretty good. Up here is soft touch, and then a little down here is a little bit plastic in this center console. But then you got this big storage, which is really cool. And then you got some more USB outlets, some other thingies. You got your USB outlet, you got ventilated and heated seats. So this is a pretty good car overall. I think I really like the way this is, all set up. And you got paddle shifters too. So now let's go ahead and go on the drive. So, okay, now that we're actually moving in this thing, the engine is slightly, I think, more intrusive on purpose. You hear like a little bit of because, it is the sportier one. And I totally sound sponsored by Honda because I keep saying sportier every 5 minutes of this review. And the gas takes a bit of push to get it to move, but maybe this is some intake sound, but it does sound quite different from the Pilot. It sounds more bass to me. Also, the steering wheel is a little stiff and stiffer than the Pilot's steering, and we got a lot of crazy looking cars in this parking lot right now. Freaking 2 GTRs, and S550 coupe. What the heck is going on? But visibility and stuff is mostly the same as the Pilot 2. The gas pedal is quite lazy for what they're trying to go for, a sporty feel of the car. It is not the same. And in tight spaces, the steering wheel gets nice and light, which is really good. Let's put it into sport and see if it gets a little responsive. Yeah, there is definitely some sort of intake sound, because it is sounding pretty good. Steering ratio is not that crisp for a big SUV like this. If it was slightly more quick to respond, it would be a little bit more lively feeling for this car. Wow, I'm really pushing into the pedal and it doesn't get going for quite a while. That's very interesting. I don't remember the Pilot being like that. The suspension over certain bumps is a bit, it kind of shakes you around a little bit. It's not as good as the Pilots, obviously, for their more sporty feel, but I think this is, in terms of driving, kind of not as, it's just not the right translation that I was gonna expect. And this could have overall been a slightly better project than the Pilot, had it actually been more of an improvement rather than just a slightly different tuned car. Because the Pilot was a fantastic SUV. This, what it's trying to do, it's not achieving correctly. Well, there's a lot of throttle responsibility. Like, I put throttle input almost like a second and a half before it actually responded. But it's still what this car's target audience is mostly going to be quite satisfied with this car, and especially because of the lesser price than the Pilot, it's still pretty good, and it sounds really good. Steering gets nice and stiff. And it has decent handling, like, you know, SUVs do, which is what I like about Honda. They're mainly more of a sort of sportier alternative to Toyota cars. But, you know, overall, maybe if you don't want to get such an expensive version of the Passport, like this $44,000 one, then you should definitely get maybe a cheaper one, because you can still get the all-wheel drive and, you know, the some other trim, like maybe the Touring or something, but it's a pretty good SUV overall. Maybe not what people are looking for as an alternative for the Pilot, because that is also a really good SUV. So it's up to you, decision wise, which one you want, and that's pretty much it for the driving experience. So there is this backup camera, and of course it has trajectory and stuff, really good graphics, and then you got a closer view. Then you have this type of backup camera view, where more of like a top-down view. And what is this? I don't know what that is, but so you got pretty decent, you know, you got 3 views. I like that. The middle view is pretty good. And it gives you a little warning if you're getting close. Then you can push it into park, and it's all good. Overall, the time with the 2019 Honda Passport has been pretty fun. It's interesting the way they changed this car compared to the Pilot, because nearly like the size and shape is almost the same, but the driving experience, what they were going for, I feel like they didn't achieve, because the Pilot had such a sophisticated drive, and this car could have done that. But maybe it's because of the 9-speed transmission and not the 10-speed, something that may be the case. But I think the way this car drove, the Pilot, was quite better than how this car drove. But in terms of everything else, because when people buy these SUVs, they're not mainly looking for the driving experience. We just like to show you that thing, so for what to expect, you know, when you have it long term for people who like cars. But the general public who don't really care for cars that much, who want a Passport or a Pilot or Highlander or whatever SUV they want, they'll be totally fine with this. I think it's a fantastic buy still, because of all its practicality and features, and basically the Pilot's fun inside with space and things, and cargo capacity in the rear, that this is a great buy. And of course it has your Honda safety features in the front, as you can see behind this little thing of the you know, the emblem of the car. It has all your, you know, radar, cruise control, and pre-collision assist, and those types of things. So it's a fantastic buy. And you could get, of course, less trims that are less than $44,000 if you don't want to spend that much money. But it's a fantastic car. And special thanks to Tony Kashif at Motorworks of Honda for providing this vehicle here at Motorworks of Barrington. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Auto Group. Make sure to like and subscribe for weekly videos, and we'll see you guys in the next one. You know, things in it, then I think Hey everyone, I'm Zain Baig, this is Auto Group, and this is the 2019 Honda
Passport.
to make it much more sportier.
Yeah, office coming.
Office coming.